In 1995, a couple of guys from Espoo, Finland decided to make a gaming company. An ambitious bunch, they wanted to be making AAA titles right off the bat. Their work attracted the attention of publisher Apogee, who released their first game, Death Rally, to modest success. But the company's first breakthrough came as a surprise even to them, a simple benchmarking tool that went on to become an industry standard. With the windfall and Apogee's continued support, they took a huge gamble and made the moody, complex, and adult game Max Payne. After numerous delays, their gamble paid off and Max Payne became a household name and one of PC's biggest titles of the year. The success did not go unnoticed. Max Payne was about to become a rock star. With a game as buzzworthy as Max Payne, it made sense to port it to consoles. Unfortunately, Apogee didn't have any experience in the console world. But there was a new kid on the block who did, Rockstar Games. An unknown when they offered to publish Payne on consoles, Rockstar would release the legendary Grand Theft Auto 3 in October of 2001, and only 2 months later, Max Payne on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. True to its name, Rockstar became an overnight sensation. Rockstar realized the potential of the Max Payne brand and, wanting to support Grand Theft Auto with other hit franchises, bought the tortured soul outright in 2001. Apogee and Remedy sold him for $10 million and nearly 1 million shares of stock from Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar's owner.
I think it was, Max Payne was obviously, as a character, was part of the team and in with every person that was working on the project. But, the guys had so much more to offer and they wanted to develop a new IP and wanted to take, their creative visions into other projects as well. So, it was a great and long process with Max Payne, but he wanted to try something new and that's why the IP was sold to Take-Two.
From then on, Apogee stopped publishing Max Payne. It was now up to the new guys to put the game on shelves. It was no surprise when Rockstar announced Max Payne 2 a short time later. Although Apogee had no legal need to be involved anymore, Rockstar didn't want to break up a winning team. And so, the Duke Nukem creators stayed on board Max Payne 2 as a producer, overseeing and advising the creative work that the guys from Remedy cooked up.
Sucker!
Distressed as a puzzle, like a broken mirror. As you piece it together, you cut yourself. Your image keeps shifting, and you change with it.
Max Payne 2 released in 2003 for the PC, PS2, and Xbox. Both the game and its reception were largely similar to the first time around. It had a fantastic story, atmosphere, and gun battle mechanic, but only a short campaign with no multiplayer. It did have a few new features like more weapons and a revamped bullet time, but the major new addition was Payne's romance with the first game's gun-toting vixen, Mona Sachs. The two bruised souls find themselves drawn together in bloody vengeance, and their twisted love affair perfectly fit the mood of the game. It was another critical and commercial success, going on to sell 3 million copies worldwide. Strangely, Take-Two Interactive cited the game's poor performance as a reason why their quarterly earnings were down in 2004. But since Take-Two was under SEC investigation for bad accounting at the time, maybe Max Payne wasn't the real problem. After the release, Remedy went silent for a little while. But at E3 2005, they announced their latest project. Not the Max Payne sequel people had expected, but a brand new title, Alan Wake. Microsoft was announced as their publishing partner, with the game releasing on their 2 upcoming platforms, the Xbox 360 and Windows Vista. This would be the first time that Remedy had ever made a console game themselves. Max Payne had been ported to consoles by Rockstar. Journalists were intrigued by the spooky title, though they weren't given too much information on it. Once again, Remedy went dark, occasionally emerging at major gaming conventions to prove the game was still alive. Despite their genuine interest in it, the gaming press started to joke about ever seeing the game. But Remedy had weathered this kind of criticism before with the original Max Payne, and that game had turned into an unexpected success because of all the time and love they poured into it. If a few delays meant a better game, then so be it.
it has taken us 5 years to develop Alan Wake, but there's a lot of reasons why. And, you know, we're a small studio. We're about 45 people. We're not a factory that bangs out games every year or 2 years. We're a team that carefully crafts something. Now, the thing was that we kind of looked out onto the market to see if there was any engines that could do the stuff that we needed to do with the light and dark mechanic and utilizing kind of shades and shadows and so forth. And there was nothing out there that could do it. So, you know, we built all the technology. We're a very tech-orientated company, and we built all the technology from the ground up ourselves in-house. And again, I think that explains why this has taken time.
And delays sometimes brought opportunities. For example, the game had initially been conceived of as an open-world game, with the hero free to roam around the idyllic town. But 6 months into development, they realized that this style of gameplay did not fit the focused emotional journey they were striving for, and so scrapped the idea in favor of a more linear experience, but one still built upon open-world technology, allowing for huge draw distances and AI interaction. In another case, an early bug in the game made objects shake violently and sometimes kill the player. Rather than weed out the bug, Remedy instead expanded on it and turned inanimate objects into enemies. As the already ambitious game evolved, so too did its format. They began to approach the story like a television series, featuring specific episodes with complete story arcs within a larger, overarching storyline.
This is season 1 of a TV series, if you like, because it has a TV series style format. We can call it kind of season 1. But this is going to have a satisfactory and conclusive ending, and you'll definitely reach all of your goals, and the player won't be left on a cliffhanger. He will have, you know, unraveled the mystery. So, you know, it's a full story.
But that storyline changed dramatically over the course of the game's long development cycle. Initially, the game was about horror writer Alan Wake, who drew inspiration from the nightmares he had when he was with his fiancée. But after her death, those nightmares started seeping into reality. By the end of the game's production, the story was about a married thriller writer, Alan Wake, who, while on vacation with his wife, finds a manuscript he doesn't remember writing, which comes true before his very eyes. Of course, these sorts of massive story changes required months of redesign on the already delayed game. By this point, even Remedy quipped that wondering if the game even existed was part of the psychological thriller. And while extra development time allowed for more additions and features, at the same time, it had some casualties. After months of rumors, in February 2010, it was confirmed that Alan Wake would be Xbox 360 exclusive. The PC version had been abandoned. Some fans wondered if the game would ever see the light. But finally, in April 2010, Remedy announced that the game had at last gone gold and would be hitting shelves around the world in May. A heady and atmospheric game much like Max Payne before it, it remains to be seen if Remedy's 7-year gamble can pay itself off. But given the company's good reputation and years of hype, chances are good that Alan Wake will be his own bestseller. And in fact, there's an Alan Wake novel on the way, which is just about as meta as gaming gets. And if that wasn't enough, there's also a live-action web series coming to set up the game's plot. Speaking of good old Max, the detective has taken on a life of his own outside of Remedy's nest. In 2008, he got his own movie with Mark Wahlberg in the title role, though sadly it was a box office disappointment. But in early 2009, Rockstar confirmed that the trigger-happy Manic Depressive would be returning to consoles that year, only, appropriately enough, to be delayed. Max Payne 3 is expected sometime in 2010. And as for Remedy, they've all but confirmed the sequel for Alan Wake.
The sequel? Yeah, I mean, come on. We spent 5 years developing this baby, and we've got all the tools, the engine, the world, and we've always thought of this to be something bigger than just one game. Obviously, it depends on the success of Season 1, whether we're allowed to do Season 2, but, you know, we have full intention, and we know where we're going to take the story as well.
Starting a sequel before the first game is even released is quite ambitious, but if there's one thing Remedy has plenty of, it's ambition. They have continually eschewed the easy route in favor of the next artistic challenge, often selling away their major successes in order to fund their gamble. Whether or not that gamble succeeds will be a story written by the gamers themselves.